everything we have been told by this system is a lie.
Everything we think we know is a lie.
Yeah.
History, who we are, where we come from, our religions, our food, our medicine, what this world is, quite literally everything is a lie. And that's why it's so difficult to ever really discover the truth and to wake up the people around us, because all of the information that we're even researching, most of it, has been falsified. That is why people are constantly locked into different belief systems, why they continue to argue with each other, and why they continue to perpetuate their divide and conquer programming. Because in everything that they're looking at and all the information that they've got, they never even factor in the reality. In any investigation into the past, which is invariably where we look to find out what happened and what brought us to this point, most of the information that we glean from old books about historical figures has been doctored, rearranged and rewritten, and in some cases it's actually even doubtful that many of these people even actually existed. In many cases, works were attributed to people who didn't do those works. In many cases, discoveries were most likely attributed to people who never made those discoveries. Many events were simply fabricated, and many people simply did not do what we were told they did. And as I said, in the case of many of them, it's doubtful that they ever even existed. Or if they did exist, it very often was not when we were told they existed, and very often the information they presented was doctored to fit the current version of reality. The thing is, people really do need to understand clearly that this is our starting point. This is what we've got to work with. The fact that everything we've been told is a lie, and we cannot rely on any of the information that we get from any books anywhere. You know, the true reality is, and has always been, that all we can really rely on 100% is that which we go out and experience in the world for ourselves. And that's a very difficult thing for people to come to terms with. However, if one goes out and travels the world and really looks at things open-mindedly, the evidence that everything we've been told is a lie is everywhere, and it speaks for itself. The question is, what are we? And what is this world? Where do we come from? How do we get here? And where are we going? And the answer to all of these questions is what we're all searching for at the moment, because we've been led so far from our true path. And the biggest danger in trying to find a way out of this mess is in adopting belief systems along the way and closing yourself off to the myriad of possibilities that are still out there. The whole progress of civilization hasn't been this gradual thing that we think it has. It's been technology that's been gradually released to us all the way along. This technology already exists. A lot of the technology we've been using for the last 50 to 100 years, I would suggest, already existed. They had it before the Industrial Revolution even. The Industrial Revolution was a cover-up. The Industrial Revolution was put there to convey to us the concept of where we built this great civilization that we've got now, which isn't a great civilization at all. It's a prefab thrown together monstrosity. It has been thrown together and slapped in place on the bones of the civilization that exists underneath it. And the reason it's been thrown together and is so slapped together is because it's been done so haphazardly and so hurriedly, because they needed to cover up the fact that this civilization is there. And this is all portrayed by the historical event that is portrayed as the Industrial Revolution. Even the term Industrial Revolution sounds so impressive, and it creates this thing in your mind, you know, this time when we all figured out how things work, when we got machinery and everyone started inventing things, and it led to this situation where building up from the mud of all of this stuff that everyone's slapping together and throwing together this huge city. Wow, look at what we've got. It creates the whole concept of how this happened, and it allowed them to slap all this together so haphazardly and so hurriedly. We lived in a world where all religions lived in peace with each other. we lived in a world where all nations lived in peace with each other. And then a few hundred years ago, this psychopathic, parasitic government system that we've got now superimposed itself over our reality and went out of its way to decimate everybody's memory of who and what they were, everybody's culture, everybody's history. They changed the whole thing. And since that time, they've fed us a complete crock of rubbish. They've told us lies about absolutely every single thing that they can. They've lied to us about reality. They've lied to us about every single aspect of reality. They've lied to us in our science about what reality is even made of what we're made of what we are. Every single thing you can think of, they've lied to us about. And most especially, they've gone out of their way to decimate people's culture and decimate people's memory. Because if you can disconnect the people from their history and from their culture, then you disconnect them from what they are. Across Europe, you'll find still churches that display crosses that have the symbol of Islam displayed beneath the cross, because they were both essentially aspects of the same faith, simply approached from different angles by different cultures, but they both lived in perfect respect and harmony for each other, because both respected each other's prophets, each other's healers, each other's teachers. There was never any animosity between Christianity and Islam. It was almost like an Islamo-Christian faith that existed right across Europe and across most of the world, because you can find depictions in many places where these religions embraced each other. There was no animosity between any faiths, because really when you look at all these faiths, they're all based in a understanding of peace and tolerance for everybody else anyway. The division came later, and the division was superimposed over the people, again by this parasitic government system that took control of the world and wiped out the last culture that existed here before us. And again, this has been done quite recently, folks. It hasn't been thousands of years since this culture existed. It wasn't thousands of years ago that all of these things were destroyed. It was only hundreds of years ago. And the fact is that very recently things were not the way they are now. We haven't had centuries of bloody warfare between each other, vying for power of the greatest nation since the fall of the Roman Empire. There was no Roman Empire. We have simply been fed a false history, and the reality is that we never had any war at all. You know, as I've often said, folks, it only takes one generation to change history. And when you look at that and you see what's been done to us, it's actually very encouraging, because that also indicates that it's only going to take around about one generation to change things back and get things back to what we need to be and what we should be. But we've got to be prepared to put all of our belief systems aside, put all of our differences aside, allow people to think differently, know that nobody has got the right information anyway. We've got to put our egos aside and allow everyone to just believe what they want to believe for now, and understand that we've been manipulated and controlled and trained to argue with each other about our differences. And the fact of the matter is that nobody really knows what's going on, because none of the information we've got to base any of our understandings on is reliable anyway. And what we need to do is focus on stopping this system in its tracks right now and giving ourselves a chance to regroup to find out what the truth is. And this is not going to happen unless we can put our differences down, stop trolling each other, stop attacking each other, stop spreading distrust and division with each other, stop identifying everything else with our belief system and attacking everybody who doesn't think like we do. Put it all down, stop fighting, and pull ourselves away from this psychopathic, parasitic system which is currently controlling the direction that we're going. Now, this whole system exists because we hold it up, folks, and that is the solution. Pull your energy away from this system and do it in every way you can, in every way, shape and form that you can find. And everyone should make it a point in their lives to do this. You've got to disconnect from the system, because we are the ones who hold it up, and that is the only solution to escaping from it. Each person out there has to individually remove the support and remove the energy they give to the system. We're the only ones who can do it, folks, and we have to pay attention, take responsibility for ourselves, and really make a stand.